It's an action item.
Dr. Mason? Tech plan can be deferred if needed.
No, I didn't see it. What?
Tech plan can be
Oh,
deferred
right
if
up.
needed. I would say, why don't
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Good evening. Welcome to the May board meeting of the Lake Mills Area School District. Our mission statement, our new mission statement, is preparing all of today's students for tomorrow's opportunities. Could we rise and do the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to officially call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Don Delaney, Rachel Davies,
Here.
Robert D'Imperio,
Here.
Donna Thomas,
Here.
Richard Mason,
Here.
Eli Thriller.
Here. Verification of meeting notice.
Yes, it was on the website and posted.
Any agenda revisions? Approval?
I move approval of the agendas printed.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. Community input.
Yeah, I had at least 5 people who had gotten a hold of me beforehand, so I'd like to start with Steve Gardner. Steve, you want to just come to the mic and
Okay, for Steve and the rest that are going to speak, the policy is 3 minutes. Okay, state your name, address for the record, so I know who you are.
Steve Gardner, and principal over at St. Paul Lutheran. And again, I want to talk about the bike path that we're looking at coming out to our school in that area. And I want to especially talk about the reason we're looking for it is for safety. And as you know, our property is out just at the edge of town, and we have a number of students that run for cross country, run for track. We have soccer players that constantly are using that 89, and with all the traffic that also comes, we're trying to get our kids off of that area. And there's just cars that are coming. I know it's supposed to be down to 45, but it is not always. Those cars are not slowing down. And we're just looking for the safest route possible to get our cross-country runners, to get our track runners, and whatever sports are going to go through there. And we also want to have the most use out of it. And so I know our route that we're looking for is on that coming off of 89 to our property. And again, realizing that we would say that would probably be the best possible route with the most use. So again, but my biggest thing is for the safety of our kids, and I don't want the news, at some time to say this is why it made the news. And I'd rather have them safely go from place to place. And that's not even talking about then using the bikes. We'd like to have access to, as our kids, right now we can't obviously take bikes. We'd want them to start doing that also. So that's where I'm looking at.
Okay, good, thank you.
Nick?
See if I can. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nick Robinson. I'm over at 603 North Main Street here in the city of Lake Mills. I just wanted to take a moment to kind of introduce myself, give you a little idea of my background. I'm one of the founding members of the Lake Mills Bicycle Pedestrian Committee. We are a citizen, basically a citizen advocacy group where we work with the city of Lake Mills and area interest in identifying the most convenient and safe access for bicycles, for pedestrians, and for alternative modes of transportation. Prior to coming to Lake Mills, I actually served with the Department of Transportation in the city of Oshkosh and spent 5-10 years with them in an official capacity, in a non-citizen version, doing the same thing, identifying bike paths, identifying pedestrian routes in the safest, most convenient way for people to utilize alternative modes of transportation. As far as the Lake Mills Bike Ped is concerned, examples of some of the stuff we do here in the just last week for for Prospect Elementary School and for the middle school, we did the Bike to School Day. I don't know if you guys saw that in the paper or heard about it. Had about 150 kids show up, bike to school, and then hang around afterwards. We teamed up with the Optimist Club this year and did the bike rodeo afterwards. Did some real fun exercises, and I actually spent about 2 hours fixing bikes, making sure the kids had brakes and gears and were safe when they were out there using there. And that's just, again, just some examples of some of the stuff that we do for the community as a whole. Obviously, this trail is something that we've identified as an opportunity to improve the safety and convenience for our children. And one of the big concerns that we have, obviously, I know you keep hearing this over and over again, but our primary route, the route along Highway 89, is a really important aspect of this trail being utilized. And the main reason that is, and if you've ever walked on campus before and seen a really nice sidewalk that kind of meanders through a field, and then you realize that all the kids have trampled the grass in a straight line from point A to B, that's human nature. That's what they're going to do. And we really don't want to end up with this trail being a bridge to nowhere. We really want to focus on where people are going to go. And it's a quarter mile from the corner of Topol's here to the school in a real direct route. If we start asking people to deviate from that, I'm really worried they're going to continue to run along 89, to run in the ditch. And as Principal Gartner mentioned, I'm really worried that something's going to happen in the future. So that's why we're really trying to focus on providing a safe and convenient route for these kids so that they've got a way to get to their activities and provide a service for the community. Obviously, this has been recognized within the city. One of the things we did most recently with the city is a mistake that they had made in the past was the bike route that came through town here, the official bike route for the Jefferson County and for the city of Lake Mills. When it came through town, instead of coming down Main Street, it actually went over to Ferry Drive, went up past Bartles Beach, hit Madison Avenue, and then left town. It never actually hit downtown. It never hit any of our public schools. It didn't go where we wanted it to go. And we realized that people weren't using it, and it wasn't safe. So we worked with the city last year. As soon as they put the paint down, South Main Street will be a bike route because they identified the fact that this is the right way to do it. It needs to be the most direct, safe, and convenient way for people to get there. And again, I just don't want to have to come back here a couple of years from now and do the same thing that we had to do with the city to try and correct the mistake that they made 5 years ago when they first identified a bike route through town. So that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Jody, thank you. You can just pull that right down, Jody. Yep.
I'm Jody Schomer. I live at 417 Washington Street in Fort Atkinson. I also teach at Lakeside Lutheran High School. I'm here representing the Jefferson County Bicycle Club. I'm their vice president, and I'm speaking to the bike path and safety. Children don't always make the best choices, whether they're 6 or they're 16. I drive Highway 89 home. I see my soccer players running out to St. Paul's property. I have seen cars, whether they're joking or not, swerve toward those young men and women. So I really feel very strongly about a bike path being along that way. It's also a visible way for people coming into town to know that there might be pedestrians there. And if they do see that there and they see children using it, that 45-mile-per-hour speed limit might be better obeyed. Also, with the curve that comes in there, you know, a few years back there was that terrible accident where there was a fog where that young person went into the property there and was killed. If there's a bike path there, I really feel that that's going to be a little better marked. People are saying, oh, it's turning, because your attention does go to the bike path. When I see the bike paths north of Watertown, south of Fort Atkinson, between Jefferson and Fort, I'm always looking at it. I'm seeing a lot of people on it. I think it's going to be utilized. High school students, they're always going to take the shortest route. I've seen the little itty bitties coming from St. Paul's running down the bike path and trying to get across the road. They're darting. I know there are adults there to help them cross, but kids will be kids. And when you're coming around that blind curve, cars aren't always looking where they're going. So thank you for taking the time to letting us speak tonight. I really appreciate that, and God bless your efforts.
Hey, thank you.
John?
John Robb, 618 Short Street in Fort Atkinson. I'm the owner, president of Two Rivers Bicycle and Outdoor, and also Jefferson County Bike Club member. And I don't want to rehash everything that they have said, but I think the key points, as I thought about this, is one, we want a safe route for the kids, and that's a visible spur. To have a spur that's back in the woods that, you know, potentially a kid riding by themselves won't be seen if something happens to them, I think that's an issue. I think, secondly, just exposure and visibility of the trail to see the community that people are using bike trails is important. If there's ever another trail project in Lake Mills that you guys want to see happen, I think the fact that you've got a nice trail along 89 that people see getting used every day is key. And then I think, you know, final point, just again, the safety of the kids coming from the Lutheran school, and the fact that if the trail is convenient, they'll use it. If it's out of the way, they won't. And I think the example given of the Jefferson County road network not following Main Street is probably one of the better cases, because I don't think a lot of people actually followed that route. They were going to take the direct route down Main Street and into downtown. So those are my key points, and we appreciate you guys hearing us tonight. We've got about 6 members from Jefferson County Bike Club here tonight, so thanks for listening.
Anybody else? At all?
Okay, so I got,
One more?
please, because I don't know that they knew that they needed to register, so.
Vicki Wycliffe, 505 Dodge Court, Lake Mills. I'm a bicyclist and a pedestrian every day, and I'm with this pedestrian bicycle committee. I support biking. I like to see the kids bike to school. So many times, I live near the middle school, and I see so many parents dropping their kids off when they could really walk or bike. So I support a safe route for the kids to get to the St. Paul's School.
Yeah, thank you, Vicki. Anyone else? All right.
Lorelei Krieger wanted to speak.
Not on the bike thing.
Not on the bike thing.
I'm speaking on behalf of the LMEA. With the emphasis on testing and scores they yield, we think it's important to emphasize what truly is valuable about our students. The children are stressed and think they are less than they are because of a single test. It is time to say enough is enough. Each student has so much to offer. A single score on a given day on one test doesn't begin to define their true value. It is time to tell students they have gifts, talents, and a personality that is very important to this world. They are outstanding because of their kindness in their hearts. They should develop their talents to become the best person they can be and make a difference in this world. We want them to have a love for art, music, and life. This is why teachers put in extra time and effort for concerts, plays, field trips, assemblies, languages, technology, sports, talent shows, senior projects, and we ask about students' personal interests. We want them to be able to speak well and listen to others, to be creative, become problem solvers, take care of and manage themselves, be physically responsible, do their civic duty, and enjoy their hobbies. This district has been doing portfolios for years, so students can see they are not their grade point average, their ACT or SAT score, but have unique talents they should celebrate at the end of their senior year. And we applaud the school district for their commitment to that process. It is a privilege to help students become who they are going to be. We know basic skills are important, or we would not be in this profession. But skills do not make the whole person. Students in Lake Mills are amazing. We watch them be kind to others, help each other, and encourage not only their friends, but others around them, including those society would deem less important. Every day in Lake Mills, students reach out to others with kindness and compassion. They gladly let others try their best and cheer them on with sincerity. Last year, we watched in awe as students emptied the stands at the middle school staff and student basketball game because someone made a winning basket. They rose to the occasion to give that young man the memory of a lifetime. That is what we are trying to do as a community, raise valuable human beings. Educating children is important here in Lake Mills, as is obvious by the 2 new schools and the involvement of parents. We invest in the next generation because it is vital to the success of our society. After Act 10, the public said they would be vigilant for students and fight for them, and I believe they meant it. We as educators cannot continue to work around this testing dilemma by ourselves, and are notifying the public that this year's Badger exam and the emphasis on scores is wrong. It is, if you have not taken a practice test to understand what students had to endure, please do so on the DPI website. Many questions are poorly written and do not truly test students' knowledge in a subject. We are all for high standards, transparency, and showing you what's going on in the classroom. We welcome input and believe parents are the child's first, best, and most influential teacher. We need to work together to find a way to evaluate growth that does not deteriorate children at their core. We are angered by the money and time the state has spent on a 1-year test that poorly evaluated students. Let's all become vigilant to ensure children are only given tests that help them. If you opted out your child from the exam, please tell your neighbors why and how. If your child took the exam, please be cautious in your choice of whether or not to share your child's score with them. Instead, let's spend time and energy educating students without undermining their self-worth. We need to spread the word that students are more than a test score and that we really value them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you to everybody. Do I have any questions or clarification from the board? Do you want any? Okay, we're on to consent agenda. Minutes of April 13th meeting, regular and executive session.
I move to approve the minutes of the April 13th, 2015 regular meeting and executive session, April 15th, 2015 special meeting, and the April 27th, 2015 special meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes and special meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstentions?
You weren't.
No, do we have any abstentions? If people weren't here, do they abstain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that an abstention on your part, or what?
I was asking a question, if there should be an abstention.
If they weren't here, yes.
Okay.
Oh, so that would be me? Okay.
So we have three, 4, and 1 abstention. Vouchers and invoices and treasurer's report.
Move to approve the vouchers and invoices in the amount of $683,328.74 for the month of April, and treasurer's report of April 2015.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the vouchers, invoices, treasurer's report. Any comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Bob D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Do I abstain?
You should on that one also.
Okay, I abstain.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that, 3 ayes, it passes, and 1 abstention. Administrative reports. Mrs. Severud.
Good evening. I can't get the clicker to work,
Uh-oh.
which is a big bummer. So tonight I'm going to present, with the help of a lot of teachers, 3 areas of curriculum. We're first going to hear from world language, then we're going to hear from English language arts, and then music. So I'm going to invite Ellen Onsrud, Corey Prey, and Tara Williams to join me to present the world language report. Did it just go by itself? Because that's really freaky.
You're really good. So this will be in English? Okay.
So first, this slide is in, no, it's not working.
Just have to be into the front of it.
Okay, so in all of the PowerPoints, you're going to see this exact same slide because I wanted to explain the committee cycle. We are on a 5-year curriculum cycle in Lake Mills, and that means that every 5 years, the groups go through and complete a 5-year cycle. Year 1, the committee is provided with professional development around curriculum development, including Understanding by Design, which is our chosen curricular framework for writing our curriculum. And then we also review and analyze any pertinent data regarding how kids are performing using the existing curriculum. In year 2, we develop a scope and sequence and a curriculum map, which you received those documents earlier. The scope and sequence is really intended to be an overview of what the courses are about, where the curriculum map gets much more in depth, including the standards that the curriculum is aligned with, what our benchmarks are. And then we review the material needed for implementation. We look at what we currently have and what we need in order to meet the scope and sequence. Now I'm going to turn it over to them.
I'm the first guy? Yeah. Oh, we'll get this set up wrong. Okay, sweet. Hello, everyone. My name is Corey Prey. I'm the Spanish teacher at the Lake Mills Middle School and Lake Mills High School. Okay, so here's a little program overview. We serve about 65% of the student population in world languages. How do I go to the next slide? Sweet. Okay, so when we reviewed the curriculum, we kept this sort of overarching goal in mind about communication and sort of what we wanted our students, the end result to be. And but if you don't mind if I read that, to communicate effectively in more than one language in order to function in a variety of situations and for multiple purposes, meeting the needs of our increasingly interconnected world. And so when we did this, we also kept in mind that we have a progression of Spanish, that when students leave here, they're going to leave possibly taking advanced placement Spanish. So we designed Spanish from Spanish 1 all the way to AP around the AP themes and the essential questions that accompany them. So based on communication, AP themes, and the essential questions. Go to the next slide, please. These are currently the courses that we offer here at Lake Mills Middle School and Lake Mills High School. 7th grade and 8th grade Spanish is equivalent to Spanish 1 at the high school. So 7th graders take 1/2 of Spanish 1, and 8th graders currently take then the other half that year. And you can see the offerings there. And then Ms. Williams is going to speak a little bit more about Spanish for native speakers. Thank you.
My name is Tara Williams. I teach the upper level Spanish. This year we're offering a brand new class called Spanish for Native Speakers. And the reason we offered this versus our normal Spanish 1 through 5 curriculum was because they have different needs, basically. If we've all had, Corey and I have had native speakers in our class, and they already can communicate, which is what our goals are. We want our non-native speakers to communicate. Our native speakers can communicate, but they have problems with their reading and writing. So we have different goals for them, which is why we added a different slide in here for them.
And I'm Ellen Anzu, teaching French at the middle school and the high school. And good, we're on that slide. So the materials that we reviewed, currently in French, we have Bien dit, and the companion piece for Spanish is Exprésate. The reason that we decided not to continue with our series is because it has limited online resources, limited culture for authentic culture, and the resources are not real life. We want to be able to give the students everything that we can for putting them into that communicative setting. So we took, on the French side, I looked at Vista Higher Learning, EMC, and TPRS novels. Those units in the Té Branché and the TEM are based on the AP3 themes, essential questions, and they teach everything through culture and communication. For the TPRS novels, they are an emphasis on reading literacy, in the beginning levels especially, and we want to use that to increase proficiency to allow for better communications. And I think the only other piece that goes with that is all of the textbooks minus the TPRS novels have online resources in one portal for the students. And so the recommendations for purchase, I would like to purchase level 1 and level 2 of the Té Branché for French 1 through 3, including the middle school, and the AP book of TEM for my French 4-5 classes. And the TPRS novels of level 1, the Brandon Browns, are more appropriate for middle school interest. and the Pirate Français and the Nuit Mystérieuse are going to be used at the high school for high school interest. And the same thing for French too.
So we went through a similar process. We worked together. Our current book, Expressite, for the same reasons that Ellen just said, it no longer meets our needs. We use it as a base, but we wanted something with more flexibility. So we looked at these other textbooks, which had the same sort of issues, the Kate Chevre and the Descubre. They're textbooks, and both Corey and I found that we like a framework, but not necessarily a textbook to follow exactly. So we chose to go for the Teacher's Discovery. It's an e-textbook. It's all online. As you can see, it has thematic units. It has your vocab and grammar videos. It has everything in one. And what we love about it is that there's a lot of flexibility with it. We can pick and choose. It's got your videos. It's got your audio. It's got text assessments, reinforcement games, activities, video, and audio all in one portal, which is the same as what Ellen would like. And the great thing about this, which I think you guys will like, is that the price tag is very nice as well. We also chose to have books, many different novels. This is what we chose for Spanish 1. Spanish 2 books. So these are all small little novels that our students could read. Our Spanish 3 selections. Our Spanish 4 selection. And then we would like to have authentic, the other books were written for non-native speakers of Spanish. For our Spanish for Native Speakers class, we would like to have authentic materials for our native speakers.
So as Ms. Williams mentioned, the price tag on the ebooks from Teacher's Discovery is very attractive. For a 5-year license for VOCEs, we're looking at $2,398, and that serves all of our Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 students, I think. And same for the second year, the VOCEs 2, Spanish 3 for all of our students. So it's a very attractive price tag. So the total here, we got a little, Ms. Williams was checking numbers today. For the novels, came in at $21.45, not $22.30, and then the overall total price was $8,951. And if you just keep in mind the amount of students that serves.
And as we mentioned, we are choosing TPRS novels, which stands for Total Physical Response Storytelling. None of us have been trained in this method, so we would really like to go to a professional development training this summer so that we can be familiar with the method before we start using it with our students.
Any questions for this world language group?
I do. Can I have some?
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to know, was this a program review or a textbook review? Text review. Did you review the program or did you just look at the textbooks?
First, we start with the program and then the textbooks.
Okay, so you did a program review. Do you have an overall enrollment chart of how many kids have been taking these foreign languages over time? I know we got a little from Dean last year, but wasn't complete.
We know that there's currently 100 students.
In each language and in each grade. Do you do that?
From each year?
Was that done in the review? Okay.
How long would you want to go back? How many years would you want to go back?
Well, I don't know, maybe 5. That tells you where your program's been and kind of where it's going, what's the potential down the way. Then the middle school French and Spanish programs, are they year-long courses?
They are.
Or each one is a year-long course, and they're electives, right? Okay.
Yes.
Do we have any where all students are required to take it like we used to have? We don't have that anymore. Okay. Okay. And then in the Spanish for native speakers, is there a written curriculum?
Yes, there is.
There is? Okay. And is that available online?
I don't know if it's online yet, but there is a outline. Yes, there is.
Now, do we have any students taking an AP foreign language or world language?
We have a couple of them. They're taking it online. They're taking it through the Jedi
through
program.
the Jedi?
Yes.
Okay. Do they then take the exams?
This year, she did not. She chose to take the EW placement exam.
Okay, that was going to be another part of my question is, do we know how our students do when they take placement tests for your universities?
No, and I would love to gather that information. I'm trying to gather it as we go. Yeah.
The French equivalent right now is dual credit through UWGB, so they are taking a French 202 course, and they will receive up to 11 retro credits with an A or B score in my French 5 class.
Is that for UWGB?
No, it's for any state of Wisconsin school and possibly
Okay.
Minnesota. But at other schools outside of outside of Wisconsin, they will get the transcript score.
And this is for French?
Correct.
Okay, and we're not sure about Spanish. Then I was going to ask this, since this is an ebook, you're going to an ebook program?
Yes.
What percentage of our students, and this might be a question for someone else, have access, and Dean, you might know this too, have access to the internet at home?
Well, when we took that survey a couple of years ago, it said 98%.
Okay.
And at school, they all have
I know at
a
school they do.
Chromebook and things here, but, and access might mean I have to go to the library or whatever, but when we took that, back when we bought all of the iPads and everything, it did come out at about 98%.
Okay, that's
And
good
these-
because when you have, you put students on ebooks, if they want to do homework at home,
Right.
they have to have access to the internet at home, and they usually aren't going to run down to the library, So it's interesting to know how many have access. It is to me anyway. Okay, thank you.
The
Next.
ebook is fully printable, if I just could
Well,
put that in
yeah,
there.
but that defeats the purpose if you print it off, then you might as well buy the book. Right?
Well, the textbook is quite expensive, and just to renew I didn't actually look at the price, but I can almost guarantee it is more than the entire textbook, just to renew the online license that we have for our old textbook, which have expired.
Right. My point was that if you take an ebook and then you print it off, after a while it becomes as expensive as just buying the book, the paper, the ink.
Rachel?
Okay, forgive me, I'm new. So I have a couple questions. One comment, though, to the internet. I know that there's some elementary school parents who I've seen sort of on Facebook shopping around, and the biggest thing is data. They can get access at home, but whenever you're talking about watching videos or anything like that, then it becomes too much for them. But my questions are, so we don't know how many students exactly are in the programs, but could you give me just a brief, like how many classes do we have for Spanish and French, middle school and high school?
I am currently teaching 4 classes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm teaching 6.
Okay.
I have Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. I have 8 classes total.
Okay. Gotcha. And
Yeah, for Spanish, we currently have
have
about
190.
280 students that are taking Spanish.
That would be from 7, 12. Okay.
And in
How about
French, it's about 100 right now.
okay. My understanding is the Spanish program is growing. Is that right? It's rebuilding. That's awesome. Tara knows I was a Spanish teacher, so that's good to hear for me. And then my other question, because I'm passionate about Spanish and Spanish education, and I started a Spanish class for elementary school kids here, are there any discussions or is there any push, and again, because I'm new, I'm going to ask it of everybody, to include the 5th and 6th graders in the start of that curriculum?
We have not discussed that yet.
No? Okay.
That's where we used to have the exploratories. And then
No,
we
it
cut out
always was in
6th
7th and
grade.
8th
It was in 7th grade, I think, yeah.
6th grade never
grade
had
was
exploratories?
exploratory.
No,
Okay.
no.
But we now have no exploratories, right?
Okay.
It
We
was
don't
more
have
of a,
exploratories?
excuse me.
We have 6th grade exploratories. They're just not a foreign language component for 6th grade.
You couldn't fit it all in anymore with what you need to
No.
do by the state, so that's why. And budgetarily, someplace it had to go.
Okay.
Well, maybe someday.
Well, it's been talked about and looked at.
Okay. More English language? Are you ready?
Ready for English language arts?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to invite the members of the English Language Arts Committee that are here tonight. Now, you're going to see a list of a large number of teachers on the list that participated in the committee. I did not ask them all to come tonight because it would be a large group, and they all knew that they couldn't all speak in order to get this done in a timely fashion. There was someone from each grade at the elementary school represented their grade level and brought information back to their grade level teams as we met. And then at the middle school, all of the English Language Arts teachers participated, as well as Pam Geib, one of our special education teachers who has a reading background particularly. And then our 3 English Language Arts teachers at the high school participated. And again, this is the same as in the last committee where year 1 was more about professional development. Year 2 is more about the work of developing the curriculum. I'm doing this one, that's right. So they developed an overarching goal this year, which says that students are able to effectively apply strategies when reading and writing for a variety of audiences and purposes. And their work, whenever they had a question about their scope and sequence, always went back to this to make sure that they were meeting that overall goal. So the program overview. In grades kindergarten through 6th grade, we offer reading and writing as 2 separate classes. And incorporated into that is spelling and handwriting. And starting in 7th grade, we changed the terminology to English, and through 11th grade, it stays as English 7 or English 11. Starting in 11th grade, they can also start taking electives, including novels, communications, introduction to college reading and writing strategies, comparative literature and creative writing, and advanced placement English literature and composition.
Good evening, I'm Renee Mitchell. I teach English here at the high school. I wanted to share with you some information about the students we serve. I think it's important to note that at our district, we serve every student. Every student in the district participates in English Language Arts classes, and additionally at the high school, we require 4 years of English credits to graduate. So students take English throughout their entire high school career as well.
So when I'm Jenny Nichols, sorry, K-12 reading specialist. We reviewed a number of materials when we gathered, and the Danielian handwriting is our existing handwriting program. So we reviewed a new handwriting program called Handwriting Without Tears. The reason being is that it's what our occupational therapists recommend for students, and it also helps kids write very efficiently and quickly. And so that was something we were interested in doing more research around. Sit and Spelling is our current spelling program. We felt the need to look at a word study program that really looked at more of a phonics approach, and so we looked at Words Their Way. It's kind of follows the 5 stages of spelling development, and also you can calibrate it so that it's developmentally appropriate for all of the kids in your classroom. It's not a one-size-fits-all spelling program. And we also looked at the Lightsail online library. I don't know much about that. Jamie, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So one of our goals was to try to find different resources for kids to have books that they're reading, not textbooks, but just books in general for them to read. And we keep looking for an online library that's going to do this for us, where kids can have the choices to read, and we're not finding anything quite yet. They're just not keeping up with the technology. But we looked at Lightsail as an option, and I think we decided against it. The next thing we looked at was MobyMax, a computerized reading intervention program that they've started using this year on a pilot basis at the middle school level, and they're seeing some success with that. So that's something that they want to continue with as providing an option similar to Alex at the math level that's been chosen, but more for reading. Not quite there, but getting there.
We also looked at the units of study for writing. Lucy Calkins, she heads up the Reading and Writing Project in Teachers College in New York City, and our middle school teachers are interested in getting the writing units of study. The K-5 teachers have been using them for a couple years now. And we looked at a variety of different readers, books to support our units of studies, books to support our classroom libraries for our students, a number of anthologies at the high school. And you can maybe click. What we came up with as far as our recommendations for purchase was Handwriting Without Tears for our students. Words Their Way, which is that developmental word study program I spoke about. Moby Max, the computerized reading intervention program for middle school, correct? And the Lucy Calkins units of study for reading are coming out this summer as well, and we're interested in purchasing those for K-8. And then just various texts, that last number there is a variety of texts that we came up with to support our classroom libraries as well as our units of study that we teach in reading and writing.
Good evening. I'm Eric Angel. I'm one of the high school English teachers. I'd like to just talk to you a little bit about our own recommendations for purchase this year. We're really focused on, at the high school, personalized learning, and we're trying to reflect that in these choices for our curriculum. Like, we've kind of broken it down here. We spent a lot of time trying to put this together, and we think we have a wide array of choice here. We have classic titles, things like I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, Great Expectations, Wuthering Heights. We're introducing more graphic novels into our curriculum, titles like Blankets, Persepolis. We also would like to purchase a new Norton anthology for English 11, which we feel would be really beneficial to the curriculum. And then we would also like to be looking at some modern lit choices, selections such as Never Let Me Go, Parrotfish, Dark Dude. But we feel really confident that this addresses personalized learning, which has become a very large goal at the high school and throughout the district as a whole.
I'm also going to interject here that these guys did a fantastic job of looking at what materials they currently have and what's going to meet their current, what's going to meet the new scope and sequence, and what they needed in order to go further with their goals. And so what you're seeing here is additions to what they currently have. Not a lot of new materials, especially at the high school level, other than things that they're trying to add. They're not really replacing stuff, they're adding to their current collections.
It didn't, no. When considering professional development for our staff, one of the things that we would like to do is send 10 teachers to Teachers College in New York City, where the Reading and Writing Project is all summer long. They run 4 institutes, 2 on reading, 2 on writing. They're 5 days, and it's an entire day. And the classes are taught by staff developers from the Teachers College Reading and Writing Project, who also come to our elementary school here and work with us as well. And it's an amazing, I've been before, it's an amazing, the best professional development I have absolutely ever received. I call it the fountain of youth for teaching, because every time I go, I feel completely renewed in my profession and come back with so much that I'm ready to teach my students and also pass on to the teachers that I work with. And then I know the middle school is interested in continuing to go to the CCBC in Madison at the UW, on the UW campus, to review books every year, the best new books for fiction and nonfiction that come out.
Okay, and then Brenda Morris, high school English teacher. At the high school level, we identified a couple of conferences that we would like to attend. This particular team of 3 teachers has not been working together that long, so we thought in order to kind of build our team and have a little more unity in what we're doing, we'd love to attend a couple of conferences together. One of those would be the Wisconsin State Reading Association Conference, which is a fantastic one for lots of teaching reading, different strategies and the cutting edge kind of new literature and stuff like that. And then the Wisconsin Educational Media and Technology Association Conference is a really good one for integrating technology into our curriculum, and we're always looking for new ways to do that.
So any questions for English Language Arts?
I have a few again. One is I'm going to ask Mr. Chady is there money in the budget? Have you put the money in the budget for all these things for next year?
Well, we'll certainly build the budget based upon
Around
the
this?
recommendations, yes.
Okay, because that Lucy Calkins program is a great program, but it's extremely expensive. You got $8,000. By the time you're done, you're going to have 15 into
We,
it, for sure.
We have $60,000 in the regular budget
For staff development?
for curriculum.
Oh,
You have, each one of the buildings has their own money, plus we have staff development money in each one of the buildings, plus you have Title II, Title III money, which has been split up and worked on, really well. So I don't know if it'll cover all of it. We're still working administratively, and we're gonna cover as much as we can. And when they go to purchase, those purchases come back here. So you'll see, what we've covered and what we haven't, so.
And my other question was, as far as the elementary school, and to some degree the middle and the high school too, in the reading, are there books that are in Spanish? Are the little books in Spanish or the materials in Spanish for ELL learners?
We're actually working through the ESL grant to do some books in Spanish.
Do you have collections of books?
We're working on a leveled library
Yes.
for,
Will that be in place by next year?
that is the plan, yes. We didn't look at that through the curriculum cycle, we're looking through our ESL committee.
So to follow up on that, then, that sounds really exciting. So you're talking about literacy in the first language?
Yes.
And using that transfer skills?
Yes.
Into the second language? Oh, that's great.
Yes.
It's a goosebump moment for me. Thank you. Being that I'm new, is there a way to, I know you're working on the budget and whatever, but is there a way for us as the board to kind of see a ballpark? You mentioned several places that there's money, just because I'm all for professional development, but again, just understanding what that looks like.
Well, that's always been my job. And
Okay.
then, as a board, I bring it to you. So
Okay.
if you want to do it, I'd gladly give her to you.
Oh, no, I just wanted, I'm new, so asking the question.
We'll put that together. We're just
Okay.
not at that point yet
Gotcha.
because it all hasn't been here.
Okay.
But we'll put it together as to where it comes from and where it's at, and I'll bring it back.
Okay.
Is the detailed curriculum on the district's website?
It will be this summer.
Okay.
What I emailed you this last year, the plan is to get that placed onto the website, the scope and sequence. I really wasn't planning on putting the curriculum map there because it gets to just be very lengthy. Most people don't want to see that much detail, but we can make a decision.
Because I know at Fort Atkinson, that's a very heavily used part of their website. Parents
Sure.
are looking up and how these things match to the Common Core. In fact, when I talk to people from that district in Kettle Moraine, they're using the website to find out what their kids are learning.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you
Next,
very much.
music.
Next, we have music.
Gonna sing or something? Sing, play?
And some more money.
I see you sing.
Hello.
Hello.
Too late.
Yeah.
Do we not get a lead out? Oh, she's
And then how do you then play directors?
All right.
We had a lot of fun working together and talking about music as a former music teacher, so it was a lot of fun for me. I'd like to introduce Linda Heimstreet, Brad Klotz, Angela Schmidt, Liz Sparks, and Eric Whalen for the committee. And they did a phenomenal job, just like the other committees, working together to look at their scope and sequence. Especially since this was probably one of the more challenging committees because they all teach such separate areas of the curriculum, yet they did it together, and that was really cool to watch. Same thing, year one, provide committee professional development, and year two, work on the scope and sequence and curriculum map.
So when we reviewed the data, we saw that the strengths of our program is that we have a high percentage of students served. Of course, at all through 6th grade, there is some sort of music course that every student has to take. And then starting in 7th grade, it's elective, but we still collect a very high percentage in both the middle school and the high school who opt to take music classes. We also share our student population very well between the department, and there's a lot of collaboration amongst our staff. We're active in the field, and we have tremendous community support. Literally auditoriums full multiple times over, and a supportive board and administrative. We also offer some really popular co-curricular offerings: high school show choir, the jazz band, pep band, high school orchestra, chamber orchestra, and the musical as an extracurricular extension of the choir program. Some of the weaknesses that we picked up on is that Lake Mills is growing, as well as, and not just the city, but also the interest in music is growing. And so as class sizes grow, there are fewer and fewer opportunities for personalized learning, and there's less flexibility with scheduling lessons due to the day 1, day 2 rotation at the high school and middle school, particularly for our traveling staff. It just makes it harder for them to reach students. Some of the opportunities that we have are the new elementary music teacher that we'll get to work with starting next year, and we'll miss Liz, and we look forward to working with Chris. We have the new facility at the elementary school, and hopefully updating our technology through the curriculum process here. Some of the threats to the program that we see are scheduling constraints. As I said earlier, the interest is growing and the city is growing, and there's still just 5 of us. So that's a concern. Also, the scheduling capabilities of fitting in all the people who want to take music. Last time we presented curriculum, students could take from 6th grade forward band, strings, and choir if they wanted to. And we hope that we could get back to that point at some time. It's just not possible right now with our current constraints. And our philosophy is that a student, especially in the middle school level, when they're just getting their feet wet into things, we want them to have as much music as their hearts desire. So, and then, of course, the district-wide budget concerns. So, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Sparks, the elementary general music teacher. So for our program overview, students will be able to effectively create, perform, and understand music for a variety of purposes. We just feel this is important, even just starting at the elementary school, just making sure we're prepared, preparing students for the next level, middle school, high school, and even beyond. I won't read through everything of our course offerings, but they're just listed on the slide right there. A very large variety for a district of this size. And then, of course, additional course offerings would be like show choir, chamber strings, and jazz ensemble. And we also decided to list a few Lake Mills alumni as well who have, they may be currently studying music or other arts or have gone on to pursue a career. So just goes to show, just going back to our overarching goal, to make music a part of our lives. Oh, I think we can go to the... Oh, I'm sorry, what? Oh, go ahead. Oh, yes, and April Truon was not on the slide. It was a late addition as of today. So the next slide is just some numbers over the years of students participating in any given music class. Overall, you can just see that there's a growth, quite a bit of growth over the last, I guess, 7 years? Yeah, about the last 7, 8 years.
Good evening, Eric Whalen, a little bit of everything at both the high school and middle school. Again, scope and sequence documents, you have those exhaustive curriculum maps and all of that within your packets, and they will be available online. I wanted to just briefly talk about some of the threads that run through all of our instruction from K through 12 music. Jamie said that we all teach kind of different content areas, but there are very common threads that run through all of that. So if you'll allow me to pontificate for a second. Music's a universal constant in every culture, and we aim to educate all of our students in grades K through 12 in the basic concepts and structures of that content area. So central concepts such as rhythm, pitch, harmony, melody are always taught, reinforced, and constantly revisited throughout our entire curriculum structure. And using that as a framework, we teach our students how they're used in everyday life, in our culture, as well as many others around the world. Music is examined in its many uses, primarily for expression, but also for communication and accompaniment of many events throughout life. So, in all department music classes, we use music as a lens through which we view many other content areas and academic things, including but not limited to visual arts, history, current events, and the list goes on. Music is unique amongst academic content areas in that it is both an art and a performance endeavor. So because of this, we seek to provide as much authentic performance opportunity as possible across our entire department. Pardon me. The performance of music in all ensembles and classes involves the teaching and application of a lot of fundamentals of community as well. Again, these are not limited to, but do include cooperation, communication, leadership, personal responsibility, awareness, empathy, focus, responsiveness, and creativity. So just wanted to share a little bit of our philosophy and share that music is the expression of human experience through sound, And by teaching this to our students, we endeavor to make them more well-rounded individuals and responsive citizens.
When we went through the materials review, we wanted to make sure that we covered all the different areas. So we looked at the elementary school, middle school, the different areas, and then the high school. The elementary school, there are some programs out there that do some more interactive whiteboard things, and we feel like we kind of have a hole there. We don't have something to give to the children. So there's a new software, Quaver, that's been out for a little while, and that would be something that could to teach all the concepts, but give them a little bit more excitement in the classroom. Middle school, we have the 5th grade and 6th grade general music now, since the middle school has been added onto, and we did not have quite as much resources for that, so there will be some asking to get some instruments so that we've kind of all taught middle school general music, depends on the schedule, and so together we came up with a list of instruments that would help enhance that program. The other thing, especially through the middle school and high school, really feel that we need to update our technology. The last time we got computers was the last curriculum review, which was 7 years ago, and we're finding that what we have does not work well with the current software and programs that we want to use. And so we feel it's really important to update. We have 4 computers at the high school that the band, choir, and orchestra share, and then we have 3 computers that we want to replace at the middle school for the same reason. There are many programs that we looked at. There are things for theory. There are also programs out there that would help enhance the composition, improvisation, and recording things that we want to give more this part of the standards that we don't have a chance to do as much in the classroom. The other things that we just want to keep up to date with is just allowing students to have access to other equipment such as some digital keyboards, and then programs or printers and speakers to go with the computer so that they are ready to use.
That's my slide. Hopefully we won't be, Angie Schmidt, orchestra and 5th grade general music. Hopefully I won't be repeating too much of what Linda just said, but getting into number crunching a little bit. Just wanted to explain a little bit about, if you see listed the Quaver music, a little bit more pricey, that's for K through 4th grade. So that's going to serve all the elementary school students, and it covers different music concepts. So we're very excited about that and are hoping to send our new elementary school music teacher to get trained on that, maybe at the WMEA convention. Whole bunch of instruments listed there, handbells, hand drums, tambourine, maracas. Those would be shared between 5th and 6th grade general music, just to make sure that's clear. Little bit of detail on the warm-up band and technique for orchestra. Both high school groups meet at the same time, band and orchestra. So what to do when the band kids are in band or the orchestra kids are in orchestra. Mr. Whalen would like to do a more in-depth warm-up with the kids, and I feel like getting them more concentrating on specific techniques. And if you're interested in any of the materials that we reviewed, we do have that all. We just didn't include, we didn't want to have this be too long for you. Let's see. So the computers for middle school and high school, Mrs. Heimstreet mentioned, I think Smart Music and the Finale programs are really great for instant feedback and the personalized learning aspect. Let's see. And one more detail about the Quaver. In lieu of buying new textbooks or replacing the outdated MIE lab, we decided that Quaver was the way to go. And next slide would be professional development. The 3 instrumental directors, orchestra, band, and band, should attend the Midwest Band and Orchestra Clinic in Chicago. It's amazing. It's similar to the Madison Clinic, bigger and better. I've attended on my own dime because it was worth it. So I think that'd be great for us. Linda, our choir director, should go to the convention for choral directors in Appleton, and she would love to go to the Broadway Theaters workshop in New York. It's already filled up this summer, so it would need to be for next summer for her. And I think I'm getting to the end, and I didn't copy onto my more organized note paper what I wanted to say about administration and board and your ongoing support for our department. It's been noticed. We appreciate it. We think it benefits our kids, and we just wanted to take the time to make sure you knew that we appreciated your support. So thank you very much. Any questions?
No questions?
No questions.
Go.
She nodded.
And I think this is important for the board to look at too, is the table where they give the numbers. And you see just how much this program is growing. And Mr. Dempuri would be very happy because I know you're very supportive of strings. It's tripled.
Thank you. I appreciate that
years.
personally. So, yep, we're busting.
And
So-
the band, and I remember not too many years ago, Mr. Sanders, when the band was overwhelmed, didn't we hire some extra help so he could, that is phenomenal too, to go from 110 to 244 in 7 years.
Yeah.
It's really remarkable. So I really think that's good. Do we, again, this is a question too, do we have any students involved in music theory, maybe in Jedi or music history? What's the goal there?
Yeah, I think that's been addressed a little bit more in independent study. I think Mrs. Heimstreet wants to answer that.
There is an online music appreciation course that people have taken in the past. So there is a little bit offer. I've tried to find out about music AP. It's a little bit tricky to get something. We've kind of looked into MATC and things like that. We do have an independent music, which is actually a very unique program here. And so a student can take a semester or a whole year of independent music and develop their own curriculum. And they come up with goals, and they gear themselves to whatever is going to make them a better musician in whatever area they hope that it happens. And some of the students will focus on theory, and that's why we have the programs for the computers, because that can be an individualized working ahead or going at your own pace.
Because we have some very talented students in this district, but we don't, and have never, I don't think, offered a music theory class or a music appreciation class.
Right.
either.
We're a little spread thin, I think. I don't know if we have the
Capacity to do
time
it.
and the flexibility to add
Yeah.
that. I mean, it'd be great to add some more
Well,
classes. but-
especially, we only have one vocal music teacher, and we have 2 or 3 instrumental music teachers, right? Right?
Yes.
And my other question is for Jamie. Do you use the same curriculum review format for every subject area?
Yes.
Because, you know, we didn't have any numbers with the world language, but these people have the numbers. and
Right.
Seems like in the past, we've usually, so you can tell if your program is growing.
Right.
or-
So different groups, I have to explain that I took over in the middle. I took over in year 2. So my job was more the scope and sequence and the curriculum map with these groups. Last year, they did their needs analysis and their data analysis. So different groups did different things last year when it came to that. So this group particularly pays really close attention to their numbers.
Could you send me sometime the framework? I just like to be interested in knowing what things they look at. And I thought it was interesting that this group too followed what the strategic planning committee did for the district when they looked at strengths. There must have been some of you on strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities.
That is written into the curriculum program for year 1. So they did that last year.
They did that last
Yep.
year?
And the
Okay.
groups
So
that are in
from
year
now on, they'll all follow the
Yes.
same framework to look
Yes.
at the program as
Yep,
well as.
the groups that I had this year, science and art, have done their SWOT analysis, their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you'll see that in their presentations next year.
Just in these great groups here, there's about $100,000 worth of stuff they need, Mr.
At least.
Sanders. For
I'd
your
like to say thank you to all the teachers who came tonight and all their
One more
work.
question.
Oh, sorry.
Real quick. Just curious, the 2008, because, I'm new. So was that
You
include?
can't be using that all the time. They're just
I
about, that's it. It doesn't go on
I'll be up to
forever.
speed really
All right.
soon. Okay.
You've completed your first hour, so it's done.
All right.
So the 2008, 2009 school year, does that include 5th grade too?
That's the year we added it, correct?
That's
I
what I
think
was
that's the
wondering.
year we added it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Brad, you'd have to
Are you
help me.
looking, what specifically are you looking
Oh,
at?
just the numbers from the 110 to the 244 in the middle school. I wondered if the 5th graders were in the 2008 number.
That's where we added 5th grade band.
Okay.
Correct,
So that's
yes.
phenomenal.
Yep.
Okay. Second thing is on the professional development. You don't mention. I'm assuming these are multiple days. Okay, awesome. And then the last thing, the guitar, high school guitar. I didn't even know we offered that, but there aren't any, are we still offering it? We just didn't have students to take it?
It's new.
Yes, I believe it's still in the curriculum, but just we didn't reach the cap this year for a number of students to actually hold a section.
Ah,
So that will not be offered next year, but hopefully in future years.
okay.
I have one more question. We used to have a lot of individual instrumental lessons. Have we had to move to group lessons?
Oh, yeah.
Because of the way these numbers are growing?
And then the last thing real quick is just a comment. Fourth graders went to Fiddler on the Roof right before strings sign up, and I think that was huge because they all sat in awe as the fiddler fiddled.
All right.
So thank you all again.
All right, thanks, Jamie, and thank you to all the presenters and all the people that worked on the committees. I know how much time and effort it takes to do that, and the results are well done, very well done. Thank you. All right, Mrs. Thompson, are you still here?
Here.
Okay.
A couple of updates from the past month. It was already mentioned, but I wanted to thank you for the bike rodeo. We had our Bike to School event last Wednesday, and it was a combination of efforts through the police department, our school district, and the biking committee coming to us to have our students walk and bike to school. I think the estimate was about 150 students who participated in that, so our bike racks were full to the brim of students coming in. To keep that momentum going, Mr. Annan, our Phi Ed teacher, is going to be having a walking school bus every Wednesday for the remainder of the school year. So students can gather at Commons Park, and we will walk from Commons Park to the elementary school. So we hope to have a lot of students out for that event as well. Right now, we're also collecting books for our superhero book bags. My office is brimming with books that people have donated for our students to be able to take home over the summer months. So I just wanted to thank our parents and community members for their donations. And I also wanted to thank Mr. Kiefer for the art show. I know many of you were able to come through the art show. It was very well done. Mr. Kiefer paid such close attention to all of the fine details, and every student had a piece of artwork that was showcased in our art show. So thank you to Mr. Kiefer, all of the volunteers, and especially to our students for their great art participation. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I want to say something. How I just asked that music group about music appreciation and music history. Mr. Kiefer teaches art history.
Yes, he
at
does.
the elementary school. That was wonderful.
It was great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Nicholson?
We have been, we finished a lot of our committee work, but I am going to save the details for next month in the, because of the curriculum presentation tonight. Two great activities that occurred in the last month, though, at the middle school, their graduation. I'd like to thank Officer A-Strike and all the fifth grade teachers for all of their work with that. It's fun to be with those kids. And then if I know that, Rachel, you went to the concert, but Holy Buckets. There's a lot of kids in band, and you don't realize how many there are until they're all up on stage. I mean, there's a lot, not just band, a lot of kids in music, and that wasn't even strings. We had probably at one point, we were trying to reserve space for the kids to sit in between, and Brad had to go up and ask for volunteers of parents so that we could get parents to sit in the seats. Parents volunteered to monitor the kids in the back of the auditorium. We probably had at one point about 100 parents waiting to be seated. And even with that, probably 30 parents that still couldn't find a seat when the fifth grade started. So Brad and I are looking at some different format possibilities. The auditorium's a really nice place for kids to have a performance versus always in a gym or whatever. So they like to have the spring performance in the auditorium for that purpose. But we will be looking at that for next year. Any questions for me?
I'd just like to add, they also had the students bring out the chairs, so it wasn't just those reserved. They added a ton of extra seating, and it was still packed, and the flow was still coming from the parking lot.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It is amazing, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Anything else? Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Chady?
Well, it was a very busy month here this past month on a number of fronts. One of the activities that transpired was the Finance Committee, and I won't steal much of Dr. Thomas's thunder later this evening. I know that there's minutes that have been presented to you. One of the items that was shared at the Finance Committee meeting was the status of our food service operations and contracting out. We have utilized the proposal form provided by the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. That was updated, edited, approved by them, and was distributed to, I think, 13 plus food service management companies last week on Monday. We've had 4 prospective vendors be back in touch with us. So I think currently I would say that we've got 4 interested vendors that will be attending our pre-bid meeting later this month. So that is progressing. We also undertook our membership audit for the 2014-15 school year. I communicated that via electronic to you via email. It was fairly standard and boilerplate. I guess the good outcomes of it all is that there were no findings of the districts, and my accolades go out to Roseanne Punzel for her efforts to in great record keeping and in facilitating that audit process. What I'd like to spend a little bit more time on tonight is talking with you about the proposed employee benefits insurance changes and options for the 2015-16 school year. And I've provided each of you a copy of that at your table here this evening. This is really the outcome of a committee of work by our Employee Benefits Advisory Committee, and 3 of those individuals are here with us, or at least were, yep, they're still here with us this evening. Joanne Russo, Mary Smith, and Anthony Fioretti. We've met a number of times here over the last 4 months or so, looking at our employee benefits and trying to do what we can to make our plan offerings a little bit more contemporary, I guess is the best way to put it. So one of the things that we looked at was our health insurance, and the committee is recommending that we implement some options which incorporate a health fund through a HRA or a health reimbursement account, in addition to maintaining our current plan. So we would be offering 2 new plans. Our current plan, there is no change in benefits, no change in premiums, no change in plan provider, Dean Health Plan, and the provider networks. That's all staying the same. However, the recommendation is that we add 2 new consumer-based plans where the district would contribute to an HRA based upon the schedule that's provided in attachment A to the packet there. I think the keys to those 2 new plans is that both plans maintain a same level of benefits for preventative care, office visits, and prescription drug copay tiers as our current plan does. The one thing is that under the 2 consumer-based plans, the employee percent of premiums is reduced from 15% from our traditional plan to either 12 or 9%. Both plans result in a modest savings or reallocation opportunity to the district, along with lower employee payroll deductions and thus more take-home pay for them. All 3 of those plan options would be provided by Dean Health Plan and their network providers, thus disrupting the impact or upon the insured members from providers with any such change. The one thing that the committee really appreciated was that More Strategy Group brought an online benefits consultation tool called Alex to the table, and the link is provided there. Alex is essentially an online employee benefits consultant that helps employees go through and asks a series of questions, and based upon the answers that the employee provides, Alex guides the employee to what they feel is the appropriate health plan option to meet their setting or situation. So really with health insurance, maintain our current plan, no change in premium, monthly premium, no change in plan benefits, and the offering of 2 new plan options, both of which would cost the district less money than the current plan. With dental insurance, there's been a request throughout the time for some increased benefit levels. So with dental insurance, we're recommending what we're calling a buy-up option. With dental insurance, we would maintain our current plan again, Though the monthly premiums do increase by 8%, that is funded entirely by the school district, so there's no out-of-pocket on behalf of the employees for the current plan, as there has been, or as has been in the past. With the buy-up plan, employees essentially have access to 3 plan enhancements. The annual max per person increases from $1,000 to $1,500. Ortho Max increases from $1,500 to $2,000, and Checkup Plus preventative claims do not apply to the annual max. The employees desiring these additional benefits would pay the difference of $1,339 for a single and $3,905 for a family between what the district currently pays for the traditional plan and the monthly buy-up. So employees electing these higher benefits would have those dollar values deducted from their paycheck between what the district would contribute to our current plan and this higher benefit plan option. Both of these plans would be provided by Delta Dental of Wisconsin, who is our current provider, so again, there's no disruption for plan members. Vision insurance simply is retaining that current plan offering. We began that offering vision insurance here at the beginning of the 14-15 school year. There's no change in benefits there, and that plan is voluntary, so the employees, when they elect that, contribute the full monthly premium to that. Life and long-term disability insurances, this was a bit of a challenge. We at Trust came forward with renewal rates for life insurance at 30.9% increase and for long-term disability at a 10% increase. The district sought quotes from the market that most closely aligned with our current benefit schedules, and the recommendation was that we move our life and long-term disability plans to the standard. The standard is best able to accommodate those former employees who may be paying their insurer directly in their attempts to reach the retiree paid-up provision offered by We at Trust. Currently, we believe that there's about 15 to 18 employees that are in such status paying We at Trust directly since their employment with the district has ended. So we're looking to try to maintain and continue that benefit for those 15 to 18 individuals. I can't tell you who they are yet because We at Trust has yet to relinquish those names to me. After much discussion, the committee had looked at the value of the life insurance benefit actually scales back for those reaching age 65, and then it scales back again at 66 and then again at 67. And I don't know that there was good recognition amongst our employees that there was that reduction in benefit. Departing employees can also port or convert their group plan to an individual plan when they depart the district. So there's an opportunity for those that would depart Lake Mills School District to have access to and maintain those benefits, although on a more individual basis between the standard and our former employee. And the other impact here is that keeping those retirees on our current plan impacts our premium ratings, and thus the committee recommends that that benefit be discontinued for current employees. The monthly premiums offered by the standard would also be less than those proposed by We at Trust, thus providing again an opportunity to reallocate resources. And then lastly, with our flexible spending account, we'll continue to offer that plan option, though we're looking to change providers from Employee Benefits Corporation to More Strategy Group as to better align with our flex spending plan and health reimbursement account administration, account accessed by the employees or the insureds, and having all of that tied to one debit card. So that's kind of a quick synopsis of probably 4+ months of work. If you have any questions, I could try to address those, or any of our committee members that are here could as well.
I have a question.
Question.
Mr. Chady, when do our current contracts expire?
For the insurances,
Yes.
July 31st is the end of the plan year for health and dental, and June 30th for life and long-term disability.
And so if we deferred action this evening, that wouldn't cause a problem with the with the contracts?
That would cause an issue with regards to the open enrollment period and providing employees that are currently at work an opportunity to change.
I'm a pretty quick study. but I'd like a little more time on this. And I guess I'm not prepared this evening to act. I'm not sure what to do about that, but it's hard for me to understand the full scope of this, and recognizing that it took the committee 4 months to get to this point. It's going to take me more than 15 minutes, I'm afraid.
Okay.
What is the open enrollment period?
The open enrollment period was targeted to begin later this month and go through the end of the school year.
Bob, would you feel better if we set a special meeting yet this month with just this as a topic and had people come speak to it? I'm just asking.
Well, we're going to have to look at OPEB, too. Should that be done at the same meeting?
I would like to leave OPEB till the school year is done and things slow down a little bit.
Hold that, and then,
See, we
This
never
one has to
talked
be
about
done
that
before.
either, is how this OPED fits in, because this is a big picture item, you know, and we never did talk about that. I don't think anybody's talked about how this fits in with OPED, have they?
Well, I'm not sure, I'm not sure how that it does either, with the exception that perhaps the health fund would be cumulative, so that would be a
That's right.
benefit. Yeah.
And weren't there going to be some HRAs or some savings accounts in the OPED too, possibly? Was there? No?
I don't
Well,
think there was
there were-
HRAs ever talked about. Could
That's
be, but-
right, we haven't talked about it.
that's why I need a work session
That's
for the
right.
OPEB. Yeah.
And this could
And
work
this.
in with it.
All right.
Well, it may or may not.
Well, both topics could be good because there's still a lot of conversation on OPEB that needs to be
Yeah.
had.
Well, this will be on the agenda later, so perhaps we can defer this discussion until the agenda item.
Okay,
How's that?
I'm for that.
Which is pretty quick, so.
Pardon?
Pretty quick. The only question I have, Mr. Chady, is with all these options and all these things, will it be a nightmare to manage it?
It will cause more work to manage it, yes. And I've thought long and hard about that. And to be very honest with you, I think the district will end up in this position sooner or later. So it might just as well be sooner and
Than
provide
later.
the opportunities for the employees to have a choice in the plan options that they desire. It would also provide them an opportunity to accumulate HRA dollars over time if they don't need to tap into those. And it also provides us a savings or a reallocation opportunity to the district right away.
I thought you told us we were gonna hire somebody at our meeting to manage all these accounts, that it wouldn't be able to be done in-house.
Well, it's a combination, Donna, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Mr. Sanders?
I'm open, mine's short.
I hope.
First of all, I know that you all, and Rachel, you wouldn't, this was done before you were on, but understanding in the middle school, we need to add more lockers, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Those were approved a while back, but to give you information, that those will begin being installed on June 29th. It should only take about 3 weeks to have those done, so they should be ready before school. So the additional lockers that we put in 5th grade, we'll put the same amount, 6, 7, and 8. We're just gonna do them all in 1 year and get it done with instead of doing it every summer and dealing with the mess. So, the pre-bid meeting for the high school going along with that for all the work here is May 20th. That's where they open bids and we see what, it's more of, it's the pre-bid, and it's where you talk about what's going on and set up a schedule. So I have not seen a work schedule for day-to-day. I've always passed that on to you, and any other project we've done, I should get the first one then on May 20th. It should also then include the middle school work that needs to be done. OPEB discussion, I think that's kind of where we were. If you know, I was not at, and I don't know how they can hear me, but I was not at your last meeting when Key Benefits was here. I would have rather have been here. But I think there still are some fundamental questions, as you've talked about, that need to be answered. And then there are a lot of questions, like when we had a committee meeting last week, with the committee that kind of helped us get to this point, there were a lot of questions again from people about, well, what if, or what does this mean, and what does this say? And so I'm going to tell you that a work session needs to be done to answer a lot of those questions. But I think the fundamental question that comes down to the whole thing is, you saw what happens in that we have a certain group of people in there now, and there's a certain groups that are not. And you saw what happened when those groups were put in so that they were all treated equally. And I think before we can even sit down and have a discussion, it has to become evident to everybody is, do we want to continue the way we are, excluding people, or do you want them all in so that when we work on this, we work on it from a standpoint of we know where we're going? Because right now, again, there are 3 groups of people in this district that are not part of that, three major groups. So I think even at a work session, the fundamental question that has to be answered is, how do we move forward? And to move forward is, we got to know who we're moving forward with. And it doesn't have to be answered tonight, but it's got to be answered soon. And I think I sent that to you, and I know that you got an email from Key Benefits talking about, and I'll forward those to you, but talking about what the long-term debt is with what's there now and what the long-term debt would be with people added. But again, I've made this conversation is, when we had unions, we are where we are because we negotiated contracts. The people that were not in the unions were never negotiated, and so, either when they retired, we came up with whatever it was going to be, or they left without anything type thing. And I guess I've always been a believer in fairness, in that if they're doing the same jobs across the board, there ought to be some fairness there. So to me, that has to be answered. It has to be answered first before we can deal with any of the other problems or concerns or monetary figures that go with that. And I think in fairness to those other groups, and there may be some people in there who are considering retirement, that needs to get answered.
I recommend that when we have a work session, Mr. President, that become the first item and it become an action item, that we decide and that
Okay.
we vote on it. So that seems to be central to
Yes.
everything else that happens.
Everything else falls in place after that.
All right, thank you. Lastly, this hasn't become a big deal, and I'm trying not to make a big deal out of it. Conference realignment. I happen to get caught in this because it's moved up its way to the superintendent's level in the Capital Conference. Capital realignment, conference realignment in this conference is usually done by the athletic directors and the principals. We have 2 sides to our conference. We have the north and the south, the big, the little, the east, the west, however you want to put it. In the south side of our conference, one of the schools is moving to 8-man football, 9-man football, which means that there's only 5 conference games for the other schools, which means they only play 4 conference games, because there's 5 schools, 4 games. If you don't play 5 conference games, you can't play in the football tournament. So the concern was, are we going to make those 4 schools play each other twice? Are we going to make them play the north and the south, and the 200-person school playing the 600-person school, and they have to count it, so the record's not going to get them there anyways. So through many, many hours of discussion, Deerfield made the comment that they would like to enter the Capital Conference in the small division, because they're tired of the travel in their conference. They travel to Oshkosh Lords and Partyville and many, many areas that, they can travel to Lake Mills versus Oshkosh. That's the savings in their district. So we worked on, the principals and them worked on some agreements with conference realignment. What those agreements came down to was, if we were going to do this on our own, we all had to unanimously agree on the conference realignment. And that's always difficult when you put 12 people in a room. what they wanted to do to bring Deerfield in, long story short, was Deerfield would only come in if all the crossover games were eliminated, which means as a North and a South, we have to play the South Central teams. If you remember that one, back whenever we were forced to play the Dells, Mauston, we have to give them 2 games a year as a conference. So the North was giving them 1, the South was giving them 1. Deerfield came in saying, we would like to come in, but we don't want to play them. They're all schools of 400. We also don't want to play any crossovers with the North because you're all that much bigger than we are. So it got complicated. Well, so what the decision was then was, well, maybe the North should play both halves of the crossovers with the South Central and not play the other teams, and they play themselves twice or whatever, or they find more non-conference games. And from a Lake Mills, Lakeside, Waterloo, Watertown, Luther Prep, that was like, all right, so you're saying to me, I can't have a crossover with Cambridge because I have to go to Nakusa. I lose the gate. I lose the concessions. I lose all of that rivalry I have with Cambridge to go play Nakusa. And I said no. So I was the dissenting vote. I said, you're giving Lake Mills nothing. You're giving Lakeside, excuse me, but Jim was here, he'd tell you the same thing. We gained nothing out of doing this. We helped the South to bring a team in. Supposedly we made it easier in football, and I understand the safety of football. It's gotten harder. Teams of 600 probably shouldn't be playing teams of 400 or 200 or 180 or whatever they are. I get it. But I said was, what are you going to give Lake Mills to make this a deal that I can buy into? So the agreement is that the North schools will take on both halves of the SCC. We'll travel to Mauston, we'll travel to Nakusa, but then we do not have to do it in baseball and softball, which we also have to do now. And my agreement to that was, in that way, my kids don't have to get out of school at 1 o'clock to go play baseball in Nakusa. Somebody else can do that. I'll keep my kids in school. I'll play Jefferson in a non-conference, and the kids can go to school all day. That was agreed to 12-0 by the conference. Thought we were done. WIA weighed in last week and said, well, the concern here is that Deerfield's telling you what they're going to do and what they aren't going to do coming in, and so we're not sure that this is going to get passed. So the problem is, come 2016-17, Wisconsin Heights will be going to 8-man football. All of those other people will not be eligible for the playoffs, and we're working on it. So I'm just telling you, it's become complicated, but it has moved its way up to the superintendent level, which it doesn't usually do. You need to hear all that, because again, I'm the one that said, you can't keep kicking Lake Mills in the mouth and think we're going to agree to this. And I will continue to say that all the way through.
All right.
Can we go back to the OPEB for a moment?
Please. Sure. It's better than what I just talked to you about.
Yeah, it's much more pleasant. Should we be setting a special meeting?
We can. Can we set that? We got to do it at the end with calendars?
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Mr. Primer, are you still there?
Yeah, I haven't graduated yet.
All right. Take it away.
Wait a minute. Don't we have that diploma right over there tonight? Maybe we can't sign it. I don't know.
Hey.
All right, so as far as sports go, Logan Larrabee shot a 91 last week, which put him one under par. And for track, Ben Dunkelberger broke the long jump school record. This week and last week, there's been a lot of AP testing. So there's AP Calc and AP History and all those sorts of stuff. There are new link crew leaders being trained at the high school. We moved the NHS induction ceremony to June 1st, so that way they can have their volunteer hours over the summer, and they can do more. They can have more volunteer hours like in the fall, where normally they're applying at that time. The Capital Conference Honors Banquet is tonight, so the top 10 in the senior class are there. As far as music goes, Nick Anderson and Emily Johnston got Tommy Awards for the musical The Wedding Singer. Last month there was a state solo and ensemble. There were 27 music entries, and 20 of those got first, and 8 of those were nominated for exemplary solo status. The rest of this week's show choir is going to be performing in the community at the elementary school, the middle school, Trinity Pines, Willowbrook, Brook Gardens, and at the Rotary meeting. Last Monday, band and choir had their concert, like they already brought up, and that included senior boys and girls songs for choir, and there were senior band awards that went out to Steve Warple, Maddie Burgum, and Carl Keppel. There's a lot going on. Miss Iverson received a $2,000 grant from the Coles Care Foundation to finance the trip to the JA Finance Park. In the future, there's a scholarship banquet May 17th, a student recognition banquet May 27th, and graduation on June 7th. Questions, concerns?
June 7th?
All right, follow me up here to the front.
Did you dress? Yeah, you did. You look good.
All right. This is your last board meeting. Yeah, are you excited? Eli has been the faithful student representative for the entire year, and been at every board meeting just about, and we appreciate your input. And we have a plaque for you, but before I give it to you, I would like to know, I'm always curious that you learned something from this. So the question is, what did you learn being a representative of the students? Here, you gotta talk into that too.
I don't know. I just learned a lot more about how the school board works and how things get done throughout the school and how things are funded. It was I don't know. I definitely learned a lot more than I thought I would. I think all this stuff is interesting, learning how things get paid for and why decisions are made the way they are. So I appreciate the opportunity to be on the school board, and it was definitely a really good learning experience for me.
You forgot the excitement part, how exciting the board meetings are. So this plaque that we have for you, where are you, Eli? Eli Primer, in appreciation for your dedicated service to the Lake Mills Area School District Board of Education, 2014-2015. So congratulations, good luck next year and your future.
We need that one in the paper.
Back. Let's get rid of this. Over here. Okay, good. Here you go, Eli.
Thanks, Eli.
Thank you.
All right, finance report, Dr. Thomas.
Well, I gave out, Rachel and I went to the meeting on Tuesday, May 15th. Bob led the meeting, and we just wrote down some notes, and you can take them home and read them. I'm not going to read them all to you, but I'll just read off the topics we talked about. We talked about the student fee schedule. I don't know if that's on tonight. We talked about the food service bid process. We talked about the property insurance renewal process, the fixed assets inventory, about the employee benefits offering, health insurance, dental insurance, life insurance, long-term disability, flex spending, and open enrollment. And then other little items came up in the midst of these things that related to those, and if you read this, you'll kind of get an idea of what things were talked about. I would say the most in-depth thing we talked about was the health insurance benefits and the Delta Dental. We talked very little about life insurance or long-term disability or flex spending, but we did talk extensively about the health benefits and the Delta Dental.
All right.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Does the Finance Committee have any recommendations regarding the health benefits?
Well, I think Bob gave a very good explanation in our discussion, which went on for quite a while, of the heavy involvement of our staff in the process. It made us really comfortable. And it particularly made me comfortable only because we had talked at this table before about kind of what our goals were for the future for benefits. One being was that we wanted to get away from the one size fits all. Because what we were doing is every time the benefits increased, we just increased the deductibles. And so that didn't seem to be, and the second thing was we wanted to save money. The third thing that we wanted to do is we wanted our staff members to have ownership in their own health. And that was another thing. All of these things are addressed by this plan and really that committee. The unfortunate thing was that we had a board member that was going to be on this committee, but her schedule were not permitted. So we didn't really have any direct board involvement in this, either the Delta Dental or the health plan, either one. So we felt of all the things talked about that day, the health and the dental were the two things that I feel we felt most comfortable about. Would you say that's true, Rachel?
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Otherwise, things were coming so fast and so furious, and unfortunately, too, you didn't get this till today. So you had very little time to look at it. So that's the kind of...
Thank you.
Okay. Action items. Finally. Approval of professional staff retirement.
I have one this month. It says, "To whom it may concern. It is with mixed emotions that I wish to inform the Lake Mills Area School Board of my decision to retire at the end of the 2014-15 school year. I have been honored to serve this district for the past 27 of my 33 years of teaching. Thank you for allowing me to serve as an ambassador for the district as well as a coach and guide for our youngest learners. The commitment that this board and the citizens of this community have for developing lifelong learners is beyond compare. You have kept the children's needs above the financial needs of the district at every turn. You are to be commended for keeping our schools the heart of the community. It has been a pleasure raising our children here. Even though I will not be an active member of the district staff, I will continue to support the efforts of the Lake Mills School District to ensure that each child has the best education possible. Thank you once again for allowing me to be a part of the district for so many years. It has been a joy watching the children grow and an honor serving the community. Sincerely, Karen Peters."
Motion?
Move the board approve the retirement of Ms. Karen Peters and thank her sincerely for the many years of service to the students, parents, community, and school district of Lake Mills.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the resignation, or approve the retirement. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Robert Imperio.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of co-curricular resignation.
You have one this month. Ms. Rachel Strauss is asking to be let out of the middle school tennis program, which is going on right now. So we do have somebody who's been watching it, and you have that later on here to approve. But again, with their children at home and personal life, needs to be my first priority. So she said, I need to let something go, and unfortunately, that's middle school tennis. She's done a nice job. She was our high school tennis coach for a few years, and she's worked hard with the middle school program. So she's done a nice job.
I move the board approve the resignation of Miss Rachel Strauss as the middle school tennis coach for the 2014-15 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the resignation. Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of co-curricular contracts.
So the next one then is to approve Cameron Derry. Cameron is a science teacher here at the high school. He's also the varsity coach. He would like to do JV is at this, or the middle school's at this time of the year, and the varsity's in the fall, so he'd like to do both.
Motion?
Move the board approve a co-curricular contract to Mr. Cameron Derry as middle school tennis coach for the 2014-2015 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve co-curricular contract. Questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Bob DiPiero.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, that passed unanimously. Approval of professional contracts for the 15-16 school year.
Just a quick comment to that. Remember, these have to be done in May, because by statute, they have to go out on May 15th, or before, or by May 15th. They have to be back by June 15th. It used to be March and April, it's now May and June. You'll see that you have contracts for the professional staff, you have contracts for all of the other people, which nowadays are called letters of appointment. And it's hard for me, because I still want to call them contracts, because that's what I've been doing for 30 years. And then you'll see the extracurricular and the activities later on. So, again, you can see that all of our people are on there. The only ones who you would not be, would be the people who have retired, their names have been removed.
Motion, please.
I move the board approve professional staff contracts for the 2015-2016 school year.
A second.
Moved and seconded to approve the professional contracts for next year. Any questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Bob DiPiero.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, that passes unanimously. Approval of non-instructional staff letters of appointment.
Yeah, and you have that list in your packet. Again, that's all of the other people, secretaries, bus drivers, middle managers, OTPT, subcaller, crossing guards, food service, custodian, and paras, educators.
I move the board approve the letters of appointment for all non-instructional staff for the 2015-16 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve all the letters of appointment. Questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Bob DiPiero.
Aye.
Donna Thomas. Aye. Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval extracurricular letters of appointment.
In the past, we used to do, 1 month we did staff members, and the next month we did non-staff members. And under the new setup, as Mr. Butler set this up for us, we do them all at one time. If there is a staff member who wants a position, they have to have asked for that before now from someone who's off staff. And then we have to interview and make that decision. But you are approving all of them as we know them now.
Motion?
I move the board approve the letters of appointment for all extracurricular positions for the 2015-2016 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the letters of appointment for extracurricular positions.
Yeah.
Questions? No?
Yes, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
I've always called it co-curricular, but as it's been said to us,
Extracurricular.
needs to say extracurricular.
Comments?
So we're approving non-teaching staff too.
Yes.
Contracts here, so if we would happen to get new staff, we wouldn't be able to put them into any of our,
Unless there were some openings, but it would probably be a year from now.
okay, so they wouldn't get anything for a year, okay.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Aye. Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Bob DiPiero.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, that passes unanimously. And then approval extracurricular activity staff letters of appointment.
These are all of the other ones that are in the handbook, such as advisors, class advisors, middle school counselor, student council, all of the different advisors which are in the handbook. You have to, again, send out letters of appointment.
Got it. Motion, please.
I'll move the board approve the letters of appointment for all extracurricular activity positions for the 2015-16 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve letters of appointment for all extracurricular activity positions.
I'm assuming that there is a statutory requirement to do these separately?
Yes. At least that's how we were informed by WASB, so.
All right, any other questions? Roll call, please.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of professional staff contracts.
They have two this month. One is the elementary middle school speech and language pathologist, And the next one is a math instructor for the high school to replace one of our retiring teachers. I think that there were write-ups and resumes on both in your packet.
Motion, please.
I move the board approve professional contracts to Ms. Virginia Raymond as elementary, middle school speech and language pathologist, and Mr. Andrew Carroll as high school mathematics teacher for the 2015-16 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the professional staff contracts of 2 new teachers. Any questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Bob D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas. Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, that passed unanimously. Approval of 15-16 insurance plan options.
Well, this is what you just talked about.
You wanna make-
You talked about a special meeting, or you can approve
Yeah.
now, so.
I would move the board approve the 2015-16 proposed employee benefit insurance options as described in Mr. Chady's memo.
Second. What are you talking about? All of them or the health and dental?
Everything in the memo.
Let's see.
It's a motion, it's made and seconded. Questions, comments? Question? Donna, you have a question?
I gotta find out what's all included here. Health insurance.
Life,
I would,
dental.
I
Dental.
would offer a comment. Yeah. And the comment is, I will
No.
understand that my colleagues have reviewed this more thoroughly than I, and I will defer to their judgment.
Much appreciated.
Any other questions? Questions? Questions?
I can agree with the health and the dental. The other, we didn't even talk about, the other insurances.
Well, the motion is to approve the whole thing.
Okay.
So roll call, please.
Donna Thomas.
No.
Rachel Davies.
I don't, can you?
No.
No. Aye.
Bob D'Imperio.
No?
Richard Mason.
Okay, it's aye. And since it's a tie, it goes down in defeat at this point.
So could
I
I offer
move-
another motion?
Yeah.
You may.
And I would offer the motion to approve the 2015-16 proposed employee benefit insurance options, specifically health insurance and dental.
Yep.
Yep, is that a second?
Second? That's a
Yep,
second.
yep, that's a yep.
That's it.
All right, questions, comments on that? To approve the dental and the health. Roll call, please.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Bob D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. So you have health and dental. The other ones we'll bring back next week or
Yeah.
next week?
Next
Next month, we got a
month.
special meeting.
Or the board meeting.
Approval of non-renewal notice.
Now, and again, mostly for Rachel, there is no such thing as layoffs in Wisconsin schools anymore. They have to be non-renewed. We have a person that we hired at the beginning of the year to fill a position. We hired a guidance counselor because we could not find a psychologist. It was a one-year position. She understood that coming in. So we have to go through the steps of a non-renewal. And in the non-renewal letter, it's for budgetary reasons only. It's not a poor job performance because she's done a wonderful job for us. But because we've hired a psychologist for next year, we have to do a non-renewal on the guidance counselor. And so we had to give a preliminary one last month, and then you have to give a final notice this month. Hopefully I explained that.
Motion, please.
I move the board pursuant to Section 118.22 of the Wisconsin statutes approve a notice of non-renewal for Ms. Michelle Klasuski for the 2015-16 school year due to budgetary reasons and educational programming and curriculum changes.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the non-renewal notice. Questions, comments?
Should I abstain since I wasn't part of the beginning?
Questions? Okay, roll call.
Abstain?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that passes 3 in favor and 1 abstention. Approval of summer school contracts.
Again, you'll see in your packet a sheet with all of the teaching staff, non-district certified teaching staff, paraeducators, support staff from non-district, and secretary staff, LMC, swim programs, instructors, assistants, extended contracts in the music and the guidance and ag area, and then crossing guards to be announced. We're not, because of the retirement, we're not exactly sure who's where at what time right now, but we will have crossing guards.
Motion, please.
I move the board approve contracts to all summer school employees.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve all summer school contracts. Discussion, questions? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of Highway 89 bike trail.
As you remember, there were two trails proposed, one coming down 89, which I believe most of the people tonight spoke to. We had asked for a second and was presented a second plan last month by the gentleman who did that, coming off spurring off the Glacial Drumlin Trail on the back side of the property, then moving up and going into the St. Paul's property from the north to the south. And I know we met one other time, I know Marty since that time, to discuss could that spur go right from coming down the Glacial Trail, and instead of cutting over, just go directly into the back of the St. Paul's parking lot so it doesn't cross any bus traffic in the future or any of that type of thing. And I think that's something that can be looked at if that's the trail. So it wouldn't, the pictures that you had would not be totally correct because we had it coming up and then going across. This would come up and go right into the north end of their parking lot, which then would never cross the road. Safety-wise, I think, as we discussed, probably a better option. But, so those are your two options. I wrote the motion that you can do one or the other, or you can deny either option. I know that there are pluses and minuses for this board, and those are things we have to weigh and discuss. So I guess you'd have to get one on the table, and then you can discuss it from there.
I'd like to offer a motion, which is I move the board approve in concept an easement to be located at the east property line of the Lake Mills Area School District owned property on South Highway 89 for the purpose of establishing a bicycle trail. Final layout, description, and terms shall be subject to final review and approval by the board.
Is there a second?
Where would that be on this map, Bob? Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the bike trail on the east end. Would you explain that? I'm not sure what you mean by the east end.
Right here.
It would be this shown as exhibit 2 in the previous
Rather than
submittal.
89, okay.
Correct.
It's not the one down 89, it's
Yeah.
the other one off
Rachel,
the
do you
back.
see that?
Yep.
Rachel,
Got
did
it
you
now,
see?
yeah.
All right, questions, comments?
The reason that I offered that motion is that I am certainly sympathetic to the safety of bicycle traffic. I actually own a bicycle, just so you're clear, and I've ridden it from time to time. The concern that I have is that the property in question is owned by the school district. We are not sure of what that use is going to be in the future. If it is not used for school purposes, It may have other uses, which we have no idea about what they are. The preferred location as described at our previous meeting, as well as a number of people who spoke this evening, really limits the use of our site. It creates conflicts with traffic to utilize our site in terms of the bike path would be crossing our access to the site, whether they be individual cars, whether they be buses. And while we need to be cooperative, we also need to protect the property, the taxpayers, and the potential use. What I'm proposing is an option that will work. It will move traffic, bike traffic to the St. Paul site. I understand that people's habits are difficult to break, but I'm not so sure that that is the responsibility of the Lake Mills Area School District. So that's what I did.
Any other comments?
I was just kind of going along with that concept about making these commitments for the future. I did have several calls about this over the, since our last meeting when we talked about it. Basically, what was said to me is that if we did this on 89, we would be boxing in the school's property for any future use that we might have, or that other people who maybe purchase the property might have. And so those were comments that I received, and I feel the same. I feel the same way. I just don't feel I have a right to box in that property because my term is limited, but people will have it for the rest of the time.
Right.
And I'm concerned too about safety. I drive out there too, and I see things that I don't feel are safe, but safe is one word. We seem to use safe and convenient in the same sentence, but safety is different than convenience. And it would be more convenient, but safety-wise, this would be just as good.
My only question was, you all have talked to the city at various lengths about when we were during the facilities committee for the elementary school, and we considered this property, right? What was the talk of sidewalks? Where was that ever?
I don't believe there would be sidewalks going out that far from
Ever.
here. Well, and if we were to do something on that property, then there would have to be sidewalks from town out to the present sidewalks that I think, Steve, you have some, not a lot, but we would have to hook up to the present road, Unshaven Lane, that's out there. But if there's nothing built there, they're not
Right.
going to put anything there.
Right.
But then that sidewalk, and I don't know, in the fixing of Highway 89 in 2016, I don't know how far out sidewalks will go. My understanding was probably as far as the city limits. Then if you were to go sidewalk out, it is our property and everybody in between would be assessed. But they're not going to put it in until we move, if we do something else.
Right, that would be, okay.
And a sidewalk's major intent is for walking, right?
Yes.
Not for riding a bike.
No.
And, when we were looking at a site, possible site for that, it would be our responsibility financially.
Right.
Not only sidewalks, but the infrastructure too.
Right, I just wondered, I thought that went hand in hand, but
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
in the future.
I think we're lucky we have a place where we can give access over on this other side.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I agree with the other board members. And the reason is, I can't commit something that I don't know what we're going to be doing with it in the future. And if we commit it to a bike trail and we want to sell it for development or something, that could be a hindrance. That could be a drawback. Could be an asset too, but it could be a drawback. So any other comments at all? All right, roll call, please, and could you repeat that?
I have a copy for you.
Would you read it, the motion?
Okay, the
again?
motion was, I move the board approve in concept an easement to be located at the east property line of LMASD, Lake Mills Area School District, own property on South 89, Highway 89 for the purpose of establishing a bike trail. Final layout, description, and terms shall be subject to final review and approval of the board. That's the motion and second. And could we have a roll call, please?
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Abstain.
Bob D'Imperio.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes 3 in favor and 1 abstention. Approval of student fees.
And just let me finish with that one, is Marty, then you and I will have to sit down and talk about easements and city things if we can, down the line here. Well, whatever, so, and I know you need this, so I'll give it to you when we're done. The next one is you have in front of you the proposed fee schedule. It's the same fee schedule. It's been with us for a while. We've tried to clean it up and take out some of the things that didn't need to be there or were part of a class that, you know, in an exploratory class, which we asked them to take, we were asking for a fee and we're taking that out at this time. What we're asking for is a $5 increase in the 4K elementary, middle, and high school. Plus, you can see in the second paragraph some proposed increases of a recorder fee, which we've never had, lunch fees going up, adult 10 cents, children 5 cents. In looking at the DPI website, it kind of gives you a formula of where your food service dollar should be, and ours, you know, in retrospect, is about a nickel short of where it should be at this point in time. So you can see the real major increases are the 5 and 10 cents in food and $5 at each building for comprehensive fees.
Motion, please.
Okay, I'll move the board approve the 2015-16 fee schedule.
Have a second?
Okay, I'll second. I have questions.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the fee schedule. Now we got on the table questions.
Okay. At the meeting, we had talked about the issue of this ever-growing list of classroom supplies that parents are asked to provide. And I wondered where that discussion
Never saw
went.
the light of day.
Right.
No, I have not pursued that with the principals at all.
Well, I think, Rachel, you should tell the rest of the board members what happens at the elementary school.
Okay.
And maybe at the middle school, I don't know, too.
Well, there's a history. Teachers used to get their supplies from Central Supply, everything, including tissues, whatever they needed for their kids. Parents provided the actual student materials that the students would use themselves and not give to the classroom. But it started with tissue a long, long time ago. Students were using a lot of tissue, and so the school district said we need to cut down on the tissue use. So teachers asked parents to provide boxes of tissue. But it's since grown to a pretty massive list of supplies, and each grade level is very different in the kinds of supplies, the numbers of supplies, and whatnot. And I had brought up the point of, you know, how is that, why aren't we including the actual classroom materials in the comprehensive fee? And so that's kind of the history of it, because not only are parents purchasing, you know, their students' pencil box and whatever they need in there, but they're purchasing Kleenex, pencils, erasers, markers, sometimes glue, a lot of glue and glue sticks, you know, Ziploc bags, and I mean, it keeps snowballing into a little bit more. And I think, you know, sometimes perhaps the teachers don't understand what the history was and how we got there, but I'm not really sure because I don't know what the conversations are at the schools.
Well, each one of the grades sits down and talks about what do they need. And on that list, from experience, everything on that list except the Ziploc bags and the tissues are used by the student themselves. It's not, I'm gonna hand it all over to a teacher and then they let me use it as I go. Some teachers I know do that,
Yeah.
some teachers do not.
Mhm.
Some let it stays in the desk, it's theirs to be used. I don't know when it went to tissues, it was that way when I came.
Right.
I mean, it's been forever. I do know that, you know, comp fee is a fee that we pay, be very honest, free and reduced lunch. You know, we don't charge comp fee to. So it was always the adage that if we're not charging it to everybody, at least everybody can supply their own this for the classroom. And I guess that's where it came from.
So what you're saying, Dean, is other than the Kleenex, all these other things that parents are asked to bring, like glue sticks and stuff, is only for their child?
Supposed to be, yes.
Paper, colored pencils and,
My children, their colored pencils that went to school with them came home with them at the end of the year. The
It's-
crayons that went to school with them came home with them at the end of the year.
that doesn't seem to be the story that's going around, so I'm glad to hear you say that on TV so that everybody knows that these things that parents are asked to purchase, other than the Kleenex, are
And the
only,
Ziploc bags, as I
are
said.
only for their child.
But some teachers will ask them to give them the glue sticks, so they're not getting them all over everything, or opening them up and doing things with them. And when it's a glue project, then they get their glue stick to work with it. So I know in storage, it might be in my desk, because I don't want everybody playing with it. But in all essence, it is their glue stick. And I know my kids came home at the end of every year with some of them left. So that's the way it should be, and that's the way I guess we're going to have to explain that it will be. But the Kleenexes are put out, I mean, so that there's Kleenex for the thing, but again, it's, since not everybody pays the comprehensive fee. They went to, you bring your own from that standpoint.
I only had a couple parents talk to me, but what they said is, if you do indeed want these things, just put it in the comprehensive fee. Don't have me go out and buy it and then send it to school, because otherwise, you know, I have, it's more than the money, it's finding the right things, because what Rachel said is true. Different teachers have different needs and
Different
want
grades have
things.
different needs.
Yeah. So that was the comment. If you need it, put it in the, add a couple dollars to the comprehensive fee and buy
So then
it.
we have to go out and do the shopping, is what you're
Well,
saying?
then each teacher
Well,
could do it
no,
their
we
own.
have to go do the
Yeah,
shopping.
the
Teachers
teacher
would do
would.
the shopping.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they could get what they want.
My question is that I'm not sure that that's something that we're ready, because it's new here, by fall. It's something that I could see in the future that you want to add to the comprehensive fee next year and go away from it. I think that that's something you could do, but as of right now, no teachers know that you're talking about that,
Okay.
you know, so,
Well, what you said is enough, that only the Kleenex are what is used for the group activity, and maybe these Ziploc bags, whatever. But everything else a parent is asked to buy is for their own child.
right, it's for their use, so
Okay,
they have
that's
some.
good.
And again, for students who can't, there are donations that are given for students who need those supplies. But I mean, if this is something that it's important, I would say then that's something that you want to make that change the next time around. To try to do that now with 2 weeks left and all of the other things, I'm not so sure that we can get that done. Not saying it's a bad idea, I'm just saying I'm not sure logistically that it can happen
Yeah.
by fall.
I guess our only recommendation was, if this is indeed what you need, just add a couple bucks on the comprehensive
Well, it
fee and
would
do it
probably be more
yourself.
than a couple, that's.
Okay.
And
Well,
that's
then
what
maybe
always
it's-
has been our thought too, is to keep this down to a
Well-
level where it's not as, you know, it's not hurtful for the
But if the
parent.
parents have to go and buy it and spend 10 bucks, what difference does it make if it's here?
Well,
Yes and
yeah,
no.
yeah. Okay, any other questions? All right, roll call, please.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Bob DiPiero.
Aye.
Thomas.
No.
Richard Mason.
Aye, that passes 3-1. Approval of the policies, and we're going to take those all together, N through X. That's the second reading of the policies. So I need a motion.
Why don't you just so you know, Rachel, we do 2 readings of policies. One, if on the first reading, it's done in the board reports. It would be a policy committee report. And then if there's nothing, or it is changed, it has to be done 2 times by board policy, so then it's brought here.
Okay, so you need a
Well, I'll
motion.
move the board approve the following policies. Policy 352, field trips. Policy 352, rural field trip guidelines. Policy 352.1, extended field trips or foreign study tours. Policy 352.1, Rule 1, extended field trips or foreign study tour guidelines. Policy 352.1, Rule 2, overnight accommodations on field trips. Policy 352.1, exhibit, overnight trip parental permission waiver. Policy 361.2, library media center material selection and review procedures. Policy 361.2, rule, library media center material selection and review procedures. Policy 361.2, exhibit, request for reconsideration of library materials. Policy 362.1, interlibrary loan of materials, and a new one, Policy 364, guidance and counseling program.
Second. And you're hired.
I am
The
hired.
district's announcer.
Move and seconded to approve the policies. Questions? Any comments? Roll call, please.
Bob D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Abstain.
Richard Mason.
Aye. And that passes 3 in favor and 1 abstention. Approval of audit firm change.
I think you had a handout in your packet with the change from where we are currently to Baker Tilly Virtual Kraus LLP of Milwaukee for audit services for the remainder of the 2014 through 16 school years, and then you would bid that out again.
Okay, I move the board approve a contract for Baker Tilly Virgo Kraus LLP of Milwaukee, Wisconsin for audit services for the 2014 through 2016 school year.
And I will second that.
Good. Moved and seconded to approve the contract, new contract with the accountants. Questions, comments?
If I recall from previous discussions, this contract represents a minimal, if no, change in our current.
With the audit that we had this past year and the membership audit, it's equal to what this contract would be. Now, we don't get a membership audit every year, so the difference is about $2,000.
And with this particular firm, an educational component is included
Yes.
where previously there was none.
Absolutely.
Right, okay.
Questions, other questions? Roll call, please.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Abstain.
Bob D'Imperio.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, that passes 3 with 1 abstention. Approval of Phase 2 strategic plan.
Okay, this was brought last month for discussion, and this is we're asking you to adopt this. This was the committee's work. The second committee did this work. I know that Rachel and Donna were both on this committee. What we want to look at is getting this out there, and that here are the main things that we're working toward in the future. And that, I mean, a lot of the things that you saw tonight from a curriculum standpoint work their way towards, nurturing the whole child, embracing the village philosophy. When you talk about music in the Lake Mills community, you're embracing the village philosophy. And so these can be some real drivers for what we look for in the future.
Motion,
I,
please.
I move the board approve the Phase 2 strategic plan.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the strategic plan. Do you have anything to add to that? Donna or Rachel, since you were on it?
That was the second part, remember, we approved the first part in one dean.
Last
3 months
December?
ago? Yeah, 3 months ago, I think, Donna.
It's good.
I think we finished in December, approved it in January. February.
Okay, roll call, please.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Bob D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, that passed unanimously. Approval of student activity codes.
When you have classes at the high school who start taking in class dues, you have to set up an activity fund. And in review of the audit, the fund was not started, and I mistyped this. It should be class of 17, 18, and 19. We're not, we have an activity fund set up, but it was not approved by you. And so we need that detail in place. So please add the class of 17.
17, 18, 19?
Yes.
Okay.
Move the board approve an activity account for the class of 2017, 2018, and 2019.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the activity account. Any questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Rob DiPiero.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of employee handbook updates.
I think we went over these last month. Major changes would, the only major changes in the post-employment benefits section that I think I again sent. It's got the blue and the yellow. The blue would not be part of the handbook, but this is to update our post-employment to make it IRS friendly, if you want to say it that way. The other ones are pretty minor, and updating the year references, updating the change in the one from 1507 to 1506. And in emergency school closures, it used to say schools and minutes, or days and minutes, and now it only says minutes, so we needed to update the handbook to read that way.
Motion, please.
Okay, I move the board approve the following changes to the employee handbook. On page 47, section 9, part 9.04, sick leave and long-term disability, change 15.07 to 15.06. Part 2, section 2, part 2.06, emergency school closures, the reference of days is to be removed. Part 2, section 9, part 9.01, letter C, the date shall be changed from February 1 to April 1. Part 2, section 9, post-employment benefits, changes to the entire section. Update all year references.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the changes to the employee handbook. Any questions or comments on those?
I just had one. On 9.01, paragraph I just wondered if there had ever been any questions about that one. I found the second sentence to be a little bit confusing in terms of what we were talking about. And
Want to read it?
sure, the cash compensation amount shall be $5,700 paid in 26 equal installments for 8 years. And I assumed after I read that 3 times that it was talking about annually.
No, it's the cash in lieu of that people will take instead of the health insurance benefits.
So it's just,
Annually, they get $5,700 per year for 8 years,
right,
paid in the regular paycheck. So it's paid in the 26 installments, each paycheck.
and each year is $5,700.
Yes.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Rob DiPiero.
Aye.
Aye, that passes unanimously. Approval of 4K program agreement with Lake Mills United Methodist Church.
You have a copy of the contract. The price increase was $1,500 for the year, which I think is minimal for the, all of the things that I know have went up, with gas, electricity, water and sewer, and price of health insurance and all of the other things. So again, I would ask that you approve this for next year. The other, the contract with the other facility will be in the packet for June.
I move the board approve a contract with the Lake Mills United Methodist Church for the 2015 school year as a 4K site at a annual cost of $36,070.
Second.
15-16 school year. You said 15. 15-16.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments on that? Roll call, please.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Rob DiPiero.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Richard Mason.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Approval of fine arts field trip.
So the next two, you'll have our field trips. They're following the new policies of when to get approvals. First one is the fine arts. They go to the American Players Theater, and I know that they stay overnight. So it's for next fall, September 18 and 19, in Spring Green. Chaperones Brenda Morris and Renee Mitchell, and the rest of it is there. I know this is a good field trip. I have one child who's been on this, so.
I move the board approve the Fine Arts Weekend Field Trip for September 18, 19, 2015 to Spring Green. It is understood that the board will incur no cost and will accept no liability for any funds lost for any reason.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the fine arts field trip. Questions, comments?
I'm sorry to use the I'm new card again.
No, you can't.
So things have changed, and what will happen to them? They said that they can't, the new policy is you can't ask until the next year. So if they need to get tickets in March, what happens?
Well, I let them this time because the policies were all changing over.
Right.
So I told them to go ahead and get the tickets, so it's all set up.
Right.
If you would have said, no, the tickets were refundable.
But next time around, with the new policy, what if they miss out on tickets? Or will you make an exception for something like
Well, I
this?
think we'd look at it.
Okay.
But these people are very good about, this is the timeline they usually come under.
Right.
And now we're just asking them to do it longer out. So I don't think it'd be a problem.
Okay. They'll be able to get tickets? Okay.
That's what they felt. So.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of 2017 field trip to, or student trip to Italy.
This is one that is run by Mr. Quinn. As most of you will remember, he ran one a couple of summers ago to Italy, Greece, France, and now he's looking to go, it was France and England, and now he's looking to take a trip to Italy. And again, this one's out there far enough so that they can get all the arrangements, kids can make sure they can get their money put together. I know from the people who went on the last one, it was an awesome tour. I know that they probably get a lot of history from him as they go. And again, it's open to any student, except for Eli, because he'll be gone, so he can't take this one.
That's too bad.
But I know that they're pretty awesome experiences if kids can go.
Okay.
I move the board approve the student trip to Italy from June 13 through June 22nd, 2017. It is understood that the board will incur no cost and will accept no liability for any funds lost for any reason.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the student trip to Italy. Questions?
I guess I would just add that these really are a wonderful enrichment for our students.
Didn't you go once, Bill?
I did, yes, I did as a chaperone. These are excellent.
I went as a student a couple times.
When as a student?
I went as a student, yes, when we went to Mexico with Miss Elstead. So I had a question. You said that this is open to any student, so any grade student can go?
I think in high school.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I believe so.
Freshman through senior,
Yeah.
okay.
At least now, they may be juniors or seniors by the time they go. but-
About the safety of the world.
All right, roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, that passed unanimously. Approval of the 15-18 technology plan.
I'm going to ask that you table that because you just got it. You haven't had time to read it. It needs to be a chance for more discussion. It does not need to be done until the end of we can bring it back in June, so I would ask that you would table that one.
Okay, we need a formal motion for that. Can we table it?
I don't know how to say that.
I move the board table the technology plan approval covering the 2015-2018 school years to the June meeting. Right?
Yeah, you don't even have to put June, you can just say you want to table it.
Oh, just table it, okay.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve to delay action on the technology plan. Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, that passes unanimously. Approval of gift.
And you have one gift from the American Legion Auxiliary, Unit 67, Clarence Bean, Warren George, of $100 to the elementary library for purchase of books.
Oh,
Motion, please?
I move the board approve the gift of $100 from the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 67 to be used by the elementary library and thank them for their generous gift.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve the gift of, from the American Legion Auxiliary. Questions, comments? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, that passes unanimously. June board agenda items.
Let's talk first about a special meeting this month and look at trying to
This
set
month,
that for
good,
the
May.
OPEB / whatever we need. I know the health insurance, but you wanted to review the other stuff, but
Yeah, life and long-term disability, would request that you act on that prior to May 28th. Looking this evening at our contract with We Trust, we need to provide 31-day notice to them if we were to terminate the contract.
Okay.
so I've got open the evening of the 20th, evening of the 21st. I've got the 26th. I can't do the 27th, as you heard tonight. That's the student recognition night. So, do any of those dates work for you?
I have the 28th.
Maybe you don't have your
or the-
calendars in front of you, but
I have the 28th or the 29th available.
it's got to be done before the 28th.
Oh, well done.
Did you have 20th
I
or
have the
21st?
18th. How about
I can
next
do
Monday?
I can do that also.
Yeah.
I cannot, but that's fine.
Or Tuesday I could
trust
do.
you.
I can do any one of those
I
days.
could do
next
18
week.
or 19. but then
Tuesday
I'm
is not
done.
good. That's a
Okay.
delegate meeting.
Well, let's do the
She said-
18th. then. I can do the 18th, otherwise, and I don't care if I'm there either. I've heard it.
Well, you,
I wasn't prepared. I didn't bring my calendar. So,
Why don't we do
because
this?
you're new.
Shoot me
You're
my-
new to this,
Right.
that's
Shoot me,
why.
let's take all 4 days next week, 18, 19, 20, 21. Shoot me an email tomorrow morning as to which days you can do, and then I will put it together and shoot it back out to you.
Okay, my name, 18,
19th is
19.
18, 19, 20, 21. Shoot me an email in the morning, and then I can call Dawn to make sure that we get her scheduled.
19th is out,
so
because
18,
that's the
20,
delegate
21.
meeting at CSUN.
I
Yeah.
just said, then put
It's
that in
still
the
out.
email, that it's out.
I'm telling you, right now, it's out. So you got
18,
18,
20,
20,
21. I'm
18,
fine.
20, 21.
Is this the meeting you're also going to talk about the OPEB?
I thought so.
Then I got the 18th or the 19th, that's it.
Okay, well. like
Or
said,
I told you those dates, other dates, and you said you had to have it done by then.
You gotta get the life and stuff done before that, so.
You could do either one.
Would it be possible to deal with the insurance on the week of the 18th and
Save the OPED for
and do
down the
the
road.
OPED at a different
Can do
date?
that too. Then it wouldn't be a long meeting.
Then it would be quicker,
Yeah. It would just be one subject
right?
instead of trying to do both.
Because the OPEB may take
Yeah.
some time.
Yeah, for sure. May take more than one meeting too.
Yeah.
So Bob, what are we looking at? The vision, life, and long-term disability,
Ju-
flexible spending?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, you would have to look at all of them.
yeah, the rest of them, because the motion was to approve the health and the dental.
Yeah. So we got 3.
The vision, there's no change recommended. So it's really the life and long-term disability, yeah.
And the flexible spending. And there's no change in that.
Other than
Change
the
of-
plan provider.
Yes,
Yeah.
so there is a change.
Yeah.
You might have more time to communicate with the teacher committee. You didn't talk much to them about those things either, did you? Any of those?
Yeah, on Thursday this past week, we did at the Employee Benefits Advisory Committee.
Okay.
So why don't we'll shoot for that, and then I think an OPEB meeting in June,
Okay.
which gives more people, and it gives us a chance with Dawn. So Bob, you're not available next Monday.
18 and 19, I am not available.
Okay.
With the
20th?
20th or 21st?
And Donna, you're not available those nights.
We're getting to Memorial Day then, really, aren't we?
Close.
Well, yeah.
Somewhere out there.
Memorial Day
Yeah.
is coming.
Yeah,
So it's graduation.
later in the week.
But we need everybody for the OPEB.
Yeah.
Right, no,
Right.
that's what I'm saying, if you do this other one, we could do it next Monday night, I know Bob wouldn't be there, but we could get this one done. If that- I
Yeah.
don't know how Mondays work for you.
Yeah,
I
could
may
do
not
them
be
when
there
you-
myself
That's
on
all right.
Monday.
Ah.
Okay.
Rick, I want to
Or Tuesday is out, so.
either at that meeting, I don't know how this can happen, but either at that meeting or the June meeting, I'd like us to make a motion to assign our facility committee to deal with the easement issues, with setting up the motion we made tonight.
We can't, they're going to propose it.
Who is?
The city will not.
They're gonna have questions. I think our facility committee should be our point people. That if they need a meeting down at the city, if the people out at Lake.
Yeah, I don't think you
St.
need a
Paul's
motion on
meeting-
that. You're just saying, asking the facility
Well,
committee to do
I
it.
think we should make it official so that it doesn't get to all of us, you know.
Well, it's not up to us
And I
to
don't wanna
initiate
keep
that.
coming, and we don't need things keep coming to the board with the whole group.
No, I understand it, but it's not up to us, the facilities committee, to initiate that.
Okay, so they
It's up to
initiate.
them to initiate it with us.
With the facilities committee,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's
we
what
can-
the motion is that I want.
Well, I
That's
don't
who
think you
you
need
deal
a
with
motion,
it.
we can just deal with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be formal.
What does the rest of the board think, you know? That's what they're gonna ask.
So,
I don't know.
again, Monday night,
Monday night's fine with me.
It would work.
Dawn, I don't know what time our schedule is. We do it at 6 o'clock Monday night, so it's over and done and you're home? All right, we'll get that out, posted tomorrow morning. And then for June, what I have is we will be talking food service update. We may have some personnel. I know that interviews for the other business ed person are going on, for the part-time middle school person are going on. There may be some resignations. I don't see any, but there will be personnel issues at that point in time. I don't know of anything else.
You've got a technology plan, Don?
Yeah,
Yeah, the test plan.
Where are we meeting Monday, by the way?
right. I think you need to meet here because this is where you'll always meet. So if somebody knows or wants to come, they should know where you're at.
Okay. High school library, 6 o'clock.
Will the RFP be on the district website for the school lunch?
Wasn't, no. It was in the paper as a place to go. I'll check. I don't know.
We can get it up there.
Yeah. I know we've had some inquiries already from 4 companies. So,
All right, anything else for June?
you got that down?
Yeah.
Should be, yeah. Okay,
I move adjournment.
Second.
moving second and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.